All right, kicking off our preparation. Another real challenge for us going on the road. Broncos are playing really well right now. You can tell they're, very well coached. The guys are really flying around the field defensively. They're locked and loaded and playing really well in that phase. They're, a team that's turning the football over or forcing turnovers a ton and really changing games that way. And offensively, they're really not giving it up. So it's going to be a challenge. We got to play well in all three phases in a tough environment. Going on a road against a team with a ton of momentum, be a really good test for us where we're at right now, coming off of another solid performance the other day, but we got a lot to continue to improve on as a team moving forward. Just want to hit on a couple roster moves we did. Open Nick Mullins' window. He'll begin, kind of working back into it. We'll see where he's at as the week goes on, as possibly being up and activated as one of our quarterbacks for the game, as well as Jaren Hall continues to progress, and we'll have an opportunity to maybe clear that protocol either later today or tomorrow. We'll see how that works as far as his preparation and availability goes for the game. We did place Jordan Hicks on injured reserve. He's doing very well. Was discharged, pretty quickly from the hospital with all things considered, and he's doing really well and already on the road to his recovery. Signed Anthony Barr. Great to bring Anthony Barr back to the Minnesota Vikings, and we'll see kind of how fast we can get him up to speed, possibly as a guy in the either this week or in the future weeks we could elevate up off the practice squad. And also brought back Myles Gaskin, after his time in LA, to join back to our practice squad and be in that running back room as a potential for us to, depending on how our depth looks for this week. Alex is doing really well. Progress him. We'll see how that he is in the protocol right now, so we'll see how that ultimately works itself out. We'll make sure that if Alex is able to go, it will be because he's completely, totally medically cleared and feels great about going out there against Denver.
Kevin, with Jordan Hicks, what made you guys decide from Monday to yesterday that he needed to go on IR?
Yeah, I think it's more so about kind of what took place and the potential severity that we avoided, but there's still some healing that has to happen, and we wanted to make sure that we've got kind of some time before the ending stretch run of the season. Wanted to make sure that we get him 100% back. He'll probably need to gain some strength and kind of some of his he's played a lot of snaps for us. He's done an unbelievable job. It's going to be it's hard to even put into words the type of loss that he'll be for our group, just from all the jobs and communication that he does. So we'll hopefully get him back in meetings and back with us on the field as soon as possible, but we wanted to be smart about that and give him a good amount of time. He will fully participate today, and then more than likely will be totally cleared, altogether by later this afternoon. KJ feels great. He's been great today, so we want to get him back going. He's a big part of our offense.
I know it's long term, but do you expect Jordan to have Jordan like that and have him back?
Yeah, my hope is yes. My hope is because we were able to, hopefully avoid any sort of longer term, problems with that. There's still an element of through the healing and making sure that goes smoothly. So things could absolutely change, but I know Jordan. When I saw him, the other night, he was watching tape of the Broncos and had all his supplements lined up like it was just any other day. So I think Jordan's going to be, as soon as he can get back here, he's one of our leaders, one of the guys that our whole organization kind of thrives behind his leadership. So just so if he's not out there for 3 or 4 weeks, at the minimum, he's still going to be heavily involved, very similar to how I see Kirk, in these next few weeks as well.
If Jaren is cleared, would he be the number 2?
We'll work that out. We really, the hope is we have both Nick and Jaren, and then we could have 3 quarterbacks available, which would ultimately, put our very important emergency third quarterback plans on hold in the short term. But that's, I still probably won't do that, but I think that would be the goal, is to have those 3 quarterbacks if all things go to plan. hopefully we can have all three of those guys available.
Kevin, do you still have Jefferson kind of ramp up this week?
Yeah, we'll see. He's going to do a little bit more today. We'll see how he responds to that, a little bit more tomorrow. And then throughout the week, we're kind of in that day-to-day kind of ramping him up phase now. We'll determine, if it's possible at all to have him for this weekend. We'll determine that and kind of take it one day at a time with that, and then assess it with the doctors and Tyler and Uriah. And I can tell you he can't wait to get back going, and he's doing everything in his power to do that.
Can we hear talk so much about Dobbs and scrambling, but with quarterbacks, they usually use OTAs and mini camps and training camp to get on the same page.
Yeah.
And receivers. How's he assimilated so quickly, just in terms of the connection he has with his receivers?
Yeah, I think you got to give Josh a lot of credit for, we can talk a lot about footwork and rhythm and timing and how we kind of build our pass game. I do think it's quarterback friendly for somebody to do that. It's very rare to be able to do it with the kind of ease that he's done it with, and he's putting in a lot of work and understanding not only what guys are doing, where they're supposed to be, but there's details of doing his own job, protection calls, understanding that there's a lot of moving parts to that. So it's been great to see him just by the time the ball hits his hands and he takes a snap. Seems to be playing with a very, kind of quiet poise to him and just making plays when they're there with his arm, creating a little bit off schedule, doing some different things to move the football. And that's the quarterback's number one job, is to, be the driving force behind the offense, moving the ball and scoring points. And he's clearly in, a little less than 2 games shown that he's been able to do that. We'll continue to work to, there's some things fundamentally, there's some things comfort-wise that I can do better for him, and we'll continue to kind of perfect what's been a pretty rapid process here, but one that I do feel good about and continuing to grow from here.
Kevin, when you guys made the move, did you know he was that fast? Do you know it was going to look like that on the field?
Yeah, he at the time, I believe he, led the NFL in however many yard explosive runs from the quarterback position. So we knew that was all over the tape. I think I referenced, first and 25, play against Seattle, that he just takes his own read for 20-plus yards on a condensed field for a touchdown. I mean, he has, real ability, as a runner. I think it comes natural to him. We just got to find that right balance where we're tactically doing it for the right reasons and not kind of taking that low-hanging fruit of just living and relying on that to run the football. I thought we ran it kind of in our normal phase of our offense. I thought we ran it better last week. We kind of had the success that we're looking for in the simplicity of guys doing their jobs and playing physical and all those things. So hopefully we can build on that. And I do believe as you get into November and December, you got to bring your run game with you when you go on the road, and it's going to be a tough environment, and we've got to try to do that.
What were the conversations like in terms of bringing Barr in? How quick did that happen?
Yeah, he's been somebody, knowing that he wasn't on a roster or a practice squad, that you're always keeping track of kind of, those lists of guys that you feel like can come in and potentially have an impact for you, and his history and just how the feelings towards the player and the person from his time here as a great player made it pretty easy. And then I think in addition to that, just him talking to even EK or Harrison Smith or Kirk or any of the guys that he played with, I think he was excited to come back and be a part of it. And we were really fired up to get him.
With Kirk, got the cast off yesterday.
Yep.
Pretty open about wanting him to, being glad he was still going to be involved.
Yep.
Around the building. How have you maybe developed a role for him? How's he adjusted to those?
Yeah, he's been great. I mean, in addition to, him, being out in the community and, just the way he feels about his role within the Twin Cities and his connection with our fans. He's been fantastic in the building already. He's really not, based upon the timeline, we didn't think we'd be able to have him very much in the building, and he's already been in a bunch of quarterback meetings. And I know him and Josh have talked a lot, and him and I have talked a lot. I'm giving him projects, having him, be a part of it. He knows our offense, as well as any of us pretty much. And I think it's something where, hey, whether he's watching some third downs or he's watching, first and second down, trying to find, a good look for an explosive and a keeper or play pass. It's kind of similar to our normal dialogue of, Monday and Tuesday. And as he gets into his tape study, I just asked him, let's I want you to be involved. I want you to be around our team, be around. He's going to start traveling when he gets cleared to do that, and I think it'll just be a huge bonus for everybody to have him around.
Kevin, you mentioned the other day that you liked the design on the direct snap play that Ty Chandler
Yep.
on Sunday. Like, what goes into the process there? Who's involved in kind of designing that play and coming up with the architecture of how that's going to look?
Yeah, so we kind of break up the game plan by the phasing, and as the week goes on, I'll get pretty heavily involved in kind of the final stages, and there'll be a lot of ideas thrown out. With that one, it was really, Chris Cooper and Curtis Modkins, Justin Riscotti, and I kind of had asked them for, hey, I'd love to have some sort of play like this. And then they go to work and try to find the look and try to find what's the best way to run it, what's the best personnel to run it out of, ultimately. Then we kind of get together on the details on that and try to make it something we feel comfortable running in the game. And I thought that was a great example of those guys, kind of that collaboration that takes place, on a lot of staffs from a game plan standpoint. But my trust in those guys, my trust in Wes and Ange and Keenan and Chris O'Hara and really our whole group, it allows me to do, the job of being the head coach, but also as the play caller and wanting to basically empower people, but at the same time have ownership of it so that I can feel good about calling plays on Sunday. And I always do with the group that I have, and I feel very fortunate to have those guys.
What was it about that play or that situation that made you go to them and say, I want something like this for this week or this spot?
Yeah, I think you look at the types of defenses you're going to see, where you're at on the field and kind of how we study it, where we think the red zone starts or where we think what we think we're going to get on a 3rd and short. I mean, the Ty Chandler touchdown that got called back, or the Josh Dobbs run for another first down on another one. Those are all just examples of trying to schematically give our players a chance to move the chains or score points, and they still got to go out and execute it. That's what I've been really most proud of through this stretch, where we've got some guys stepping up and doing new roles and new things, is the execution really hasn't fallen off. And that's total credit to our players and what they do from Wednesday through Saturday to prepare for these football games so they can go out and just play. And I think it's been huge.
Last one. Kevin, how would you describe the role that Chris O'Hara has played just over these last couple of weeks, working closely with Josh?
Yeah, I think Chris and Grant have not probably gotten enough credit for the amount of time that they've spent getting guys ready and making sure that we've got a plan for our starter, whether it was Jaron against Atlanta, where we all go in very confident that he's going to go out and have success, but we also know in the back of our minds we've got to be prepared for, if Josh is going to go in the game, how are we going to operate, what is he comfortable with, all those things getting communicated in real time. And then the preparation Josh had last week, I thought was a total credit to those guys. He had some great practices last week. There wasn't very many people surprised, that he played well. I think some of the plays were head scratchers at times of how he was able to overcome some things and find his way in the end zone or go get a first down on a scramble. So, I think Josh deserves a ton of credit, but those guys coaching him are doing a great job. Thank you.